Welcome to another exciting episode of the Contractor Business Builder podcast. We have the honor of hosting Stephanie Delval. She is the co-founder and COO of BuildrFi. Super excited to talk with you today. Stephanie, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me there. Happy to be here.
Yeah,
Excited about this
wonderful.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, looking forward to getting into how contractors can, improve their financial outlook and managing their finances and the money side of the business. So important to keep it up and have options. So, can you tell us a bit about your background and what led you to co-found BuildrFi?
Sure. So my background and experience is in leading revenue, strategy, and operations teams across different industries. So from CPG, logistics, up until fintech companies, and with revenues over $100 million a year. And what led me to co-found BuildrFi? I love this question because it was very unexpected in a way because I knew about this industry and the struggles, but to learn firsthand from my co-founder and CEO, Isabel, to learn about her struggles and really diving deeper into her troubles and how, her side of the world was as she had her own construction business led me to think, okay, this is important for the industry. It's really necessary for us to come up with solutions. And all of my experience in operations and solving complex problems just took me to, okay, I need to do something about this industry and learning from her. And it was
Mhm.
just it is such a massive industry, right? It's about $10 trillion worldwide, 2 trillion in the US alone. It's just so much opportunity and so much to solve for.
Yeah.
But this specifically in financial management is number one. So that's a bit about the background and what led me to found BuilderFi with Isabel.
Yeah, definitely. I think every contractor can understands the pain of cash flow issues and managing just all the different financial transactions that a construction company goes through on a regular basis. And you being co-founder, you guys both having your background experience, I think it's probably led to kind of the strong program and software that you guys have created. What are some of the like challenges that construction companies face when it comes to financial management? What's some of the big ones that you guys have seen or solved for?
Yeah, so cash flow is definitely number one. It's
Hmm.
top of mind. As contractors, I think today they have to wait about 95 days on average to get paid. That's the industry benchmark. And it's terrible because they have to, solve for materials and labor and pay for that up front before even getting paid in like they have to wait 95 days. So delayed payments strain relationships with not only the people that they work with, because probably if you don't have the funds, you need to wait a little bit to get some other jobs done so you can get up to speed, but also relationships with suppliers and the ability to take on new projects. So it's a whole snowball effect, right? If you don't have your cash flow check, you cannot really grow. So that's number one top issue that I've
Hmm.
seen, and especially on the subcontracting side, because they, as I said,
Yep.
they have to, upfront pay for all of this, materials and labor. And what
Mhm.
we're trying to do is bridge that gap, that, wait time between they complete a project and actually get payment.
Yeah, it is definitely a hinder to growth, especially for subcontractors who are, waiting these long terms, whether it's 30, 60, 90 day, terms to get paid after putting labor and materials into a project. So definitely, a challenge to be solved. How does BuilderFi help with the cash flow management or, streamlining some of the financial processes for a contractor?
So we work with those subs and contractors that often have to wait 90 plus days to get paid. And
Mhm.
we help them manage their cash flow better and get a better understanding, more visibility on what that looks like for all their projects. But also, we offer embedded financing solutions. So when they see there's a gap, there's a cash flow gap they need to solve for, they can immediately get a solution with financing. So let's
Mhm.
say if they're waiting for a 200K payment from a project they already completed and there's some other, documentations and workflows that needs to happen before they get paid, they can use our platform to get the, funds available and pay suppliers, for example, for this new job that they have. So that's how we usually help them. And that ensures that their projects stay on track and, that they can maintain strong relationships with their clients and suppliers and everybody involved in the project.
Yeah, definitely a big help there to have those, kind of fluid or flexible financing options available for your cash crunches or those periods between, having to get paid and maybe starting another project or another phase of a project, things like that. As far as like the interface of BuildrFi, like informational wise, how does that look, or how can that help contractors kind of understand what's going on with the different financial transactions or dates of their business?
Yeah, so one thing that we have prioritized at BuildrFi is being customer centric and really understanding deeply our customers. And that reflects on what our product looks like today. So we make it super easy for a contractor to on board, to get started in our platform and really quickly get a sense of what their financial looks like. So it usually takes 5 to 10 minutes to onboard. And that has been, I'm very proud of that because it's usually a lot longer for other platforms. We're still building, it's still early, but that's one thing that I'm very proud of since we've heard, feedback from our clients. And that's something that we emphasize on. We need to hear feedback and take it into consideration for our product. So that reflects that methodology and vision that we have. So we make it super easy, the onboarding, and easy to see what their project looks like. And also to access the financing itself is just a click and complete this information. And they usually get turn around 24 hours, 48 hours to know what they should expect on when they should expect those funds. So yeah, it's very customer centric and easy for them to navigate.
Wonderful. We mentioned subcontractors. Obviously, if they're working for commercial builders or larger builders who have longer terms, would be a good fit. Is there a specific type of construction business that would fit well with BuildrFi, or is it pretty, helpful across the board? Who would get the most benefit?
The most benefit, it would be for a contractor that often have to wait more for payment. So those are usually commercial contract, right? They often have to wait even longer than 95 days as the average, but I've heard absurd amount of time. Even a contractor that was paying, I had this conversation with him, I think it was in June, and he still was waiting for payment that from a project he completed back in December 2023. That's absurd.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a commercial project, a big one. So it had to go through a lot of inspections and so on. So anyway, that would be the best fit for us, those contractors with mostly working mostly commercial projects, and contractors that are they usually have a team. So they have an operations manager, they potentially have a CFO or additional people that help them with their operation. It's not just a one-man show kind of thing. So that would be like better fit. And then as far as trades, we have worked with roofers, we have worked with electric and plumbing, we have worked with masonry. Like there's many trades that we have worked with, but those are the ones that I can come up with.
Okay, perfect. Right on. I know we've mentioned before about like, inefficiencies and streamlining processes, and what are like some administrative type of inefficiencies or common financial inefficiencies that you've seen contractors making, or that could be improved in a construction business?
Yeah, so there's a lot of inefficiencies and a lot of things that could be improved. But I think number one issue or inefficiency that I've seen from clients and different conversations that I've had is not really looking at your numbers as constantly as you should. Right? Having more of a proactive approach than reactive, like, okay, how am I gonna make payroll this month? And instead looking way back and more and like having that of looking at your numbers. Let's look at the profitability of each job and get brutally honest about them. Is this profitable for me? Is this sustainable for me? And another, and even going like zooming out from that specific, looking at those numbers, is having that vision of where do they see themselves in the industry, right? Who do they want to work with? The
Mhm.
type of projects they want to work. And like, there's so many things that they probably skip because they just want to get to the next job. But sometimes it's important just to stop and reflect what has gone well or not so well, and then really understanding, once you get to know your numbers, you get to see more opportunities to change. So for
Mhm.
example, common mistake or inefficiency is not really understanding how to get paid, right? There's a lot of documentation, a lot of workflows, a lot of requirements, and that's sometimes different from each GC or each job.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's one key thing. And probably they don't have a lot of time or people available, right? But that's
Mhm.
one thing that could be easily fixed if you have better processes or basic processes for certain
Mhm.
situations. So having those basic processes. How do you get to those basic processes? By understanding what your problems are. How do you
Mhm.
understand what your problems are? Going back to your numbers, going back to what has happened in the past and looking at that historical information. So I think that's the common mistake. And to summarize it, I would say it's just not taking a proactive approach and taking control of their operations and where they want to go.
Yeah, definitely. And no, excellent points. Love it. Getting these things set up, if you don't have these processes or abilities to see the numbers, with job costing and stuff in your business, definitely want to take a bit of time and get that set up, or get some help from someone who's done it before to get that set up, because it will help you make much better financial decisions. And like you said, you'll start to understand which projects went well, where did we make money from, which projects didn't go well or weren't enjoyable, and you'll see these commonalities, so you can start kind of bringing in and focusing more on specific types of projects, or maybe working with certain specific types of builders that are just more in tune, or more enjoyable, if you will, for your company to be working with. And I thought it was really
Yeah.
interesting how you said understanding what payment requirements for different contractors or types of builds and stuff like that, and sometimes not having that information relevant, you may not be submitting at the right time, or maybe you're not fulfilling their requirements, so it's held up on their side, so it takes longer for you to receive a payment because you got to resend information, or it didn't go through the proper channels or whatever. So you as a business owner might have that all in your head, but have a document somewhere that maybe lists the different contractors, especially if you work with them on a regular basis, and how they want payments submitted. Is do they need an invoice to a certain email? Do they need you to fill out a form? You need to complete certain inspections or what have you, and just kind of keep that information somewhere, so that that when you are applying for a payment, you're meeting all the criteria. So there shouldn't be any hiccups or roadblocks, or any reason why you'd have to wait longer than whatever the terms would be.
Yeah. And I
And
understand
mhm,
completely like how this can be missed a lot of the times from contractors. They're just so busy, and sometimes they grow so fast
yeah,
that it's
mhm,
hard to just stop
yeah,
in and thinking a little bit strategically instead of
mhm,
just being in the job,
yeah, definitely.
right?
And
But one,
mhm,
yes, and but it's necessary. You need to know your numbers and need to know if that growth is even sustainable. What are the
mhm.
resources that I need to sustain this business, to sustain this growth?
Yeah, that's a common challenge too for businesses. Is you get a bunch of projects come in, you want to take on a whole lot of work, you start a number of those projects, and then you realize that, your cash flow bottoms out, and now you're in a really rough place because you don't have options available, and now you've got all these projects that you've committed to. Another thing I wanted to mention is I often encourage contractors, subcontractors, to speak with the general contractor, the commercial contractor, whoever it is, and just ask them if they can, if there's a way to bypass, maybe if they've got long terms, just if it's 60 days, ask them, can you do 30 days or what have you? It's always worth asking. And sometimes you can talk with a project manager. I know when I had my subcontracting framing business, we worked for a large home builder, and I would often submit payment a little bit early because I talked with the project manager and I had a good relationship with them. And he's like, yeah, just, get in your invoice early. I know you guys are going to finish, and if it's a couple of days early, by the time I've done the final inspection and approved it'll be in process. So we're able to get paid a week earlier than we would have typically, just by having that agreement and communication. So they're even if they do have long term, sometimes it's worth having a conversation about it and seeing if there's any way to speed that up a little bit. Cash flow is so important for a business.
And
Um,
that's part of what I mentioned of taking control instead of,
yeah.
oh, okay, here's the contract, here are the terms, and I just need to follow them and stick to them.
Yeah.
But thinking about, okay, how can we make this a little bit more flexible? And that goes also with suppliers. How can we get better terms or discounts, or
Yeah.
getting creative on, strategies to get that cash flow moving instead
Yeah.
of being in a very soft spot or not having a lot of options or flexibility.
Definitely, yeah, and it goes for the other side, like you mentioned with suppliers. Asking for a little bit longer terms. You can tell them, my GC that I work for, has 60, 90-day terms or plus. Can we have something similar so that we're able to continue with better cash flow and purchase more materials from you guys, or even just slight discounts on certain things. Paying a little bit less, it goes directly to your bottom line at the end of the day and makes you more profitable. Any other kind of features or ways that BuildrFi can help with, the financial management for contractors that we haven't gone over?
Yeah, so I think overall we're super focused on financial management and
Hmm.
making that easier and a breeze
Yeah.
for contractors, which is often an overlooked area, and making it a little bit more proactive instead of just being a reactive or stressful situation. There's a lot of stress already in this industry, a lot of people under a lot of financial stress. We want to make this a breeze, very easy and manageable, something that we can manage and make it better. I think besides just cash flow management is peace of mind, in a sense as
Hmm.
well, that we're in the
Yeah.
business, business for. Because as I said, there's so much like trouble and stressors, but at the end of the day, these builders are, building the build world, right? The
Hmm.
the places where we work, we live, and it's not fair for them
Yeah.
to be under so much stress. Besides, the features that we have mentioned, BuildrFi, we have some cool things coming up 2025 next year.
Awesome. Hmm.
So probably hear more about it, but we're working
Hmm.
on very interesting products for more flexibility, to offer more flexibility to contractors and make that even like having more options for them available, and
Yeah.
having more analytics embedded to that. That involves AI
Hmm.
as well. There's a lot of
Yeah.
conversation around
Hmm.
AI, but how can we make that actionable? So that's a key area where BuildrFi is working on, and making this a very robust platform for contractors.
Very cool. And yeah, with the integration nowadays, it just makes things easier, more streamlined, quicker, and opens up some interesting doors, like you mentioned, with new features and stuff like that. So excited to see what the future brings for
Yes.
BuildrFi with some of the new stuff that you guys are working on now. Can you walk us through like a client story? You mentioned a little bit earlier about this one contractor who had very long had to wait a long time to get paid. But do you have maybe a client story or a client journey that you could share with us of, someone kind of where they were at when they got started with BuildrFi, and how they, saw the results or benefits, and how it translated into the real life?
Yeah, so I can think about this subcontractor based out of Rhode Island. At the beginning, when they joined BuildrFi, it was a very stressful situation. It was that, typical situation where they've been growing a lot. They had a lot of projects in pipeline, but they had this specific time of the year that all of those projects were delayed. They were waiting for a lot of payments to come through, but still they had to, make payroll, pay for materials, and get overall they needed a better picture of the cash flows, and they were in a very tough spot, and they didn't notice until
Hmm.
it was already, late. Not too late because we were able to help them. But yeah, that was the situation. Typical growth, non sustainable, not really something that they could they could have anticipated, but didn't. So that's
Yeah.
why they were in that situation. So the way we help them is that commercial roofing subcontractor. So we help them understand their numbers a little bit better. So, okay, let's talk about all these projects that you have in pipeline. Since they are all, these contracts are out there and you want to really, work in these jobs, then let's figure it out. What's the cash flow needed there, right?
Mhm.
So what can we do about them?
Yep.
So we strategize with them. So BuildrFi, they signed up to BuildrFi first of all. They needed to get a better understanding of their business and their numbers.
Yep.
And then we supported them with cash flow, so accessing to capital. So they were able to extend those payments for suppliers so they could, take advantage of those discounts, first of all, that the supplier was giving them. And since there were a lot of jobs that they need to work on, we were able to work with them on, okay, you probably have an opportunity for the supplier to give you better pricing. So there were a lot of things that we worked with them on the supplier side specifically, but that was the main case that we had a lot of success with. And they are now having BuildrFi as a partner instead of, oh my God, I don't have any other options.
Mhm.
But it's more of, okay, here's more flexibility. There are options for me. So they now go to BuildrFi every time they have a job. They can extend those payments and match the payment, their usual payment delay that they receive.
Yeah.
So they can extend it for about 6 to 8 weeks. And then by the time the job is complete, they have already paid their supplier. But it was more of a weekly or monthly payment instead of everything being one chunk, which is very stressful, right? So that was one key, success story that we had. But it was a
Mhm.
very stressful situation. We're under a lot of stress, like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I have all these contracts already.
Mhm. Yeah.
And there were a lot of, personal conversations too of
Mhm.
what do I do? Should I get a home equity loan and, you know, put
Yeah.
myself and my family under a lot more stress and financial stress? So that's, I think, the number one example that I can come up with.
Yeah. Very cool. And yeah, it's such a like I don't know if tricky place to be in, but when you've got contracts, you've got business flowing, but just from the nature of the business or what's going on, you run into these cash flow issues and then the question comes up that put personal assets like a home or something like that, under risk just to help the business grow or continue or what have you. And it can be treacherous. So I'm happy that they were able to find BuilderFi and get some help with the financial management of things. And like you said before, peace of mind. Once you kind of have some of this stuff set up and you have these options available to you, it can really help you to not have to worry about it, like I mean day to day or week to week of like how are we gonna make payroll or pay for materials or keep everything afloat. It can really help you refocus more on the business and the production and doing the stuff that you like to do instead of worrying about finances and moving money around everywhere and whatever else. So yeah, really,
That's an
really good.
added
Hmm.
stress too, right? They have to
Yeah.
build as
Hmm.
perfect as possible
Yeah.
on schedule, right?
Hmm.
So that's a stress on its own,
Yeah.
being in the job and making
Hmm.
sure that this is done perfectly. So now
Yeah.
if you add other stress, like the financial stress or family or any like additional problems, is really detrimental to
Hmm.
the quality of work and, getting to work every day like in a positive mindset even
Hmm.
than
Yeah.
just being with that problem in the back of their minds.
Definitely. So what's the best way for people to learn more about BuilderFi, get connected? Where can they go and what should they do?
Yeah, so I think the best place to go is our website, builderfi.com, or get in touch with me directly. My email is stephanie@builderfi.com. Very easy. And yeah, we're happy to help, give you a demo, walk you through the possibilities or options that are out there. And it's always good to, get to know a little bit more what's happening in the industry. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that they have to join BuilderFi, but see it
Hmm.
as an opportunity to learn something new.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely connect with BuilderFi and Stephanie here, improve your financial management, check out, the BuilderFi platform and everything that it has to offer. Any final words of wisdom or last topic that you wanted to talk about or mention, Stephanie?
No, I'm just gonna say that cash is king,
Yeah.
especially in this industry.
Hmm.
And as we talked about, personal or this peace of mind, that's the most important part of the job. That the cash flow is king, and that technology is here to help, not just being like, oh, I have this other tool that I need to learn how to use, but how can technology help you be more efficient, be optimize your processes and automate a lot of this manual work that is very typical in the industry.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I'm
Hmm.
excited about where the industry is going
Hmm.
and the adoption, especially in technology that we're seeing. So really excited about that. And yeah, our goal is to become that go-to platform for construction finance and contractors to take on bigger projects and with confidence as well.
Yeah, wonderful. And we'll put a link to BuilderFi website in the description of this video or podcast audio if you're listening or watching to this. So go check it out. And yeah, I think it's an exciting time in the industry because technology is kind of improving to the point where becoming a lot more user friendly and natural. It's not as archaic as some of the old programs or software used to be. It's more meeting people kind of where they're at and with their own understanding without having to get super, techie with a lot of stuff. So I think it is a very exciting time. Thanks so much for coming on here, Stephanie. I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and letting us know about BuilderFi.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.